great to be in India. It's actually my first time here. So it's so awesome to be here. I hope we all are having a good time. Okay, so while we're waiting for my presentation to come out, I'd like to just tell you a little about Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. And some little information. Within the time that I was contacted and sent my profile for the event, I've moved to become the head of sustainability for the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So just a correction. Thank you. Okay, so while I was growing up in Nigeria, there's a beach we used to call the Bar Beach in Nigeria. And one day I was walking with my mom, and we're walking along the beach. And when I was very young, the beach was very, very inward, like you had to walk some distance to get to the water. So my mom told me that when she was growing up, the water used to be very close to land, that you could actually see the water while you drove past, you know. So she told me that it was because God was not happy. That was why the water moved in. So the water was running away because God wasn't happy, you know. So when I grew up and became older now, a few years back, the water had moved out, you know. So I was just thinking of what to tell my own daughter. Was I going to tell her God was now happy, or, you know, I didn't know what to tell her. And then shortly after that, I went there, and then there was no water at all, because the land had been filled up and it was now having houses on them. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that with all the things happening in the world right now, climate change, inequality, and so many things happening, the world is now so unpredictable, you know, so things happen, things spring up, you know, and you can't really say this is what it's supposed to be, you know, you can't really say this is the trend. And these are the things. So we need to do something. We need to all act fast, you know, to do something to manage the situation, you know. So that's why we're here. So we're very happy that we're here, all sitting, all interested, you know, in what to do, you know, to move this agenda forward. I'm very glad that we also have representation from the United Nations, you know, talking to us about this. So very quickly, I'm going to be going into my presentation, which is about change management towards sustainability. Like we've already heard, the private sector has a lot to do when it comes to the subject of sustainability. And this is because we have a very huge, thank you very much. And this is because we have a very huge role to play. You know, a lot of private sectors, organizations have so many companies, so many people working with them, and then there's also the supply chain, there's the value chain, you know, so there's great opportunity to actually make impact, to influence people and change things. Thank you very much for listening to that. Okay, so like I said, the topic is change management towards sustainability, and that has to do with embedding sustainability into an organization's DNA to transform business to create long-term change. So this is the overview. You can see it, the outline. We're going to be looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, the opportunities, managing change, benefits, case studies, and of course, the conclusion. Okay, so we've heard a lot about sustainability, but we put up a number of this so that we can just look at the many things we recognize, you know, around the topic of sustainability. You know, so we're talking about meeting the needs of the present. Meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. We're talking about people, profit. We're talking about the planet. We're talking about labor practices, consumer issues, citizenship, organizational governance, human rights, community involvement and development, fair operating practices, harvesting resources without depleting them or damaging them. You know, there are so many aspects to it that relates with each organization and everyone. So there's no way we can talk about sustainability and not talk about the agenda for the now, which is the Sustainable Development Goals. I know we're very much aware with all of these 17 goals, you know, set for the next, up until 2030. We have about 169 detailed targets, to meet, and everyone has a role to play in that. And the critical importance about it is the aspect of the people, the planet, prosperity, peace, and of course, partnership.